But Andrew Weissman, let me go first to you with your experience in the FBI and what we just listened to.
Well, in many ways, it is the blueprint that was set in the Boston bombing case, where you have this outreach to the public and the dissemination of information. It was striking to me that that was essentially the purpose of the press conference, was to get that out there to the public so that anybody with information about what he looks like, his T-shirt, his cap, his shoes, his backpack, all of that is something that they're looking for leads, and that obviously is something that the public can and should do. I did want to make a reference to something that people might not know about, because there's been a lot of reporting about having found the gun. And I want to make sure people understand, in this country, it can be very, very difficult to trace a gun to a perpetrator. Unlike a car, where when you have a car, we can know from soup to nuts when it came off the lot and every single owner who had it. That is prohibited in this country. So you can have
for guns, it's prohibited.
For guns, it is prohibited. You can figure out when the gun was manufactured, but it is very hit and miss if you can trace who has owned it. There are all sorts of loopholes. And so just having found the gun, it obviously can be useful. There can be information there. But it is not the case that there is a record in the same way that you would have for the VIN, the vehicle identification number, for a car, where you know exactly from person to person to person. So I just want to make sure people understand, because of the laws in this country, this investigation, or investigations like it, don't have necessarily the tools that you might have in other countries to do that kind of tracing.
Ken Delaney, we're continuing to run the video that was just released, which in effect was the entire purpose of this press briefing, was really just to release this video that they have been, obviously has been in their possession for quite a while. They were ready to do this apparently much earlier in the day today. Any indication of why this was delayed so long, given, as Andrew says, they wanted to get this information out to the public? They've had it for quite a while. The public could have seen this many, many, many hours ago.
That's right, Lawrence. Well, one reason was stated fairly explicitly by Utah officials hours ago, which is that they were waiting for Kash Patel, the FBI director, and Dan Bongino, his deputy, to land in the FBI jet so that they could attend this news conference, and where they didn't speak and they stood in the background. And there's also, it's a bit perplexing because they did say earlier in the day that they were going to have a briefing at around 2:45 p.m. and then they canceled that, citing rapid developments in the case, which led a lot of people to think that they were closing in on a suspect. But then you had Bo Mason, the head of the Utah Department of Public Safety, tell NBC's Morgan Chesky tonight that they have no idea. He used those words: we have no idea the identity or the location of the suspect. Don't know whether the suspect is still in the area or has fled hundreds of miles away. And you know, that's not a failure. I mean, these are difficult investigations. Andrew cited the Boston Marathon bombing. You can also think about the Luigi Mangione case. It took them 5 days to arrest Mangione, and only after help from the public, after a McDonald's worker spotted him based on a photo. And that's exactly what they're hoping for in this case. Unfortunately, the photos of his face are not terribly clear. But it just does show that despite all the video evidence they've collected, all the presumably the cell phone location evidence they've gotten, and the tips they've gotten from the public, they really don't seem to have made much progress in figuring out who this person is and where they are. I mean, when law enforcement agents start to just telling you the number of interviews they've done and how many agencies are responding, you know they don't really have very much to say of substance. And I wanted to make one other point, Lawrence, which is the governor said very clearly, the governor of Utah, that Russia and China are spreading disinformation about this situation, which they often do, as Andrew well knows, in mass shootings and other kinds of instances of controversy and mass violence in the United States. The thing that the public needs to know about that is that this Justice Department and this FBI disbanded the Foreign Influence Task Force, whose job was to try to combat that malign foreign influence and to investigate it and to counter it. They've done away with it. They're not, the U.S. government is not doing that mission anymore, in part because Donald Trump didn't like the things they did about Russia, apparently. So it's really rather remarkable to see that governor of Utah lament the fact that our foreign adversaries are trying to exploit this situation while the FBI director is standing behind him, knowing that they have done away with the task forces that whose job was to attack that problem.
Joined now by Jim Kavanaugh, former ATF special agent in charge. Jim, what did you learn in that press briefing?
Well, I think the only thing that they told us new was the head of the troopers. He showed us the video of the killer egressing the roof, dropping down, looked like he had a rifle in a bag. You know, hustles across the green there and then starts walking across the road and then dumps the rifle in the wooded area. So we'd never seen that video. And then, of course, the still pictures, Lawrence, that are on the staircase, they're pretty good. But it seems to me, I can't tell from what they said. Is that from a video? If you have a video of that, release the video, because if you don't know who this guy is, you really need the help. Or if you have better still pictures of his face coming up that stairwell, get those out too. At this point, it's not going to hurt you to release more video and more stills. Just get it all out there. I think one thing we got to contend with, and the commanders need to contend with, this guy may not be local to, Orem, Utah. He could very well be a traveler who stalked Mr. Kirk, come from far, another state or something to do this. He doesn't have to be a local person, so he could very well have traveled.
We are going to share a portion of a video and that we have of the suspect, as well as some new stills. Those have already been released, but we want to make sure that they get as much attention as possible so that we can get help from the public in tracking down this evil human being. So we're going to cue up the video right now, show that. I've asked Commissioner Bo Mason if he would narrate to you what is happening in this video.
Thank you, Governor. Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. If you look up to the top left, you'll see the building where the shooter was proned out in the top left corner. We'll go ahead and play that video, and I'll narrate as we walk through that. So here you see the suspect ran behind that upper building. He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that again so you can get another view of that. It's important to note his black T-shirt, his black pants, and there appears to be some white on the soles of those Converse tennis shoes. Those are all identifiable items that we're looking for. In the stills that are going to follow this, you're going to see a very distinctive T-shirt with an American flag and appears to have an eagle on it. There's also a baseball cap with a triangle on it and a pair of sunglasses. All distinctive, all things that we would ask the public to look for and try to identify if they know someone who has those items, who has been seen wearing those items. We're looking for all that information. Here you see the suspect after dropping off the building. He moved around across this grassy area, around the parking lot. We're going to pan to the right. After he crosses the street, this is where he moves over into the wooded area. This is the video evidence that we utilize to track his movements and to locate that firearm in that wooded area following the discovery of this evidence. Good. You want to go to the stills? So here's the still photographs I mentioned. These have been enhanced. So these are slightly different than what we introduced earlier. Please pay close attention to the T-shirt. Like I said, very distinctive with that American flag and that eagle. The hat with the triangle and the sunglasses. If you'll go to the next picture, please. The backpack as well. all identifying features that we're hoping the public can help us identify and lead us to this suspect. Next picture. And again, there's a better picture of the hat with that triangle logo, and again, the T-shirt. Blue jeans, and you get a good look at those Converse tennis shoes as well. We have pushed these out. We'll continue to push these out, and we just ask for the public's cooperation through the public. The tips that have been coming in are what are giving us our next leads and enabling us to continue to further this investigation. We've had great cooperation from the public, and we're continuing to ask for that as we move forward. Thank you, and I'll turn the time back over to Governor Cox.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mason. I want to thank Director Patel and his team. It's great to have them on the ground with us tonight. We've had several briefings, and he's had an opportunity to walk the crime scene. We appreciate our local law enforcement here. Again, we have Mike Smith, who is the county sheriff.
Breaking news, raw police video just dropped of a campus shooter fleeing after a brazen attack. Officials admit they don't know who he is or where he went. They have a rifle, a shoe print, a hat, and a granny stills, and they are begging the public for help. This should terrify every one of us. Listen, investigators release surveillance that shows the suspect dropping from a roof, hustling across a lawn, and then disappearing into a nearby woods. They recovered a rifle and some forensic traces, DNA smudges, shoe impressions, but there is the brutal truth. In the US, tracing a gun is nowhere near as reliable as tracing a car. Loopholes in the law mean that even when they find the weapon, following the worship trail is a nightmare. Law enforcement compared this to Boston Marathon case, where public tips cracked it, and now they are playing the same card. They have handed us the still a black T-shirt with a distinctive American flag eagle, a triangle hat, worn Converse. If you spot it, call it in. This suspect may not even be local. He could be a traveler who planned this. That is why every tip matters. And there is another layer. Authorities warned foreign actors are already pushing disinformation about the attack. Meanwhile, the task force meant to combat that kind of influence was disbanded. So, not only are investigators racing to identify a dangerous shooter, the public is being flooded with false leads and political noise. That makes catching him even harder. Here is what we must demand. Full transparency from investigators. More public camera footage released now. And renewed focus on closing the loopholes that let guns vanish into anyone's hand. And renewed focus on closing the loopholes that let guns vanish into anonymous hands. This isn't about politics. It's about stopping murders on our campuses. If you saw anything, a hat, shoe, or backpack, speak up. Drop tips of FBI and local police. Share this clip. The faster we act, the sooner we go stop the next attack. Thank you for watching my videos.